Hey guys, I'm Steph. Welcome to Fueled by Fashion. I finally have some time to sit down and create an advice video for you guys. I thought it'd be a good idea to create a video on how to organize a sketchbook. You might ask, why have a video on how to organize a sketchbook? Well, this is a great advice video for anyone who's about to start a major in design. Back when I was in high school, I wish I had a video like this to reference to, especially since I was kind of clueless about fashion design. So let's get started. There are different formats for sketchbooks. There are sketchbooks that are spiral bound and sketchbooks that are hard bound. This sketchbook I have right here is actually a sketch pad. It's a type of spiral bound book. The benefit to this is that, as you can see, you can flip the cover and fold it back, and if it was a regular book you would just fold it back to the side. Which actually is good about this is that you can lay it flat without having to worry about the cover of the book not flapping back at you, and you have the freedom of sketching at your ease. So this is a hardbound sketchbook. It's actually a very durable design because all the pages remain intact in place, and you don't have to worry about the pages coming out of the spirals or tearing out. Or the bad thing also about spirals is that the spirals, depending on how much you abuse the notebook, the spiral can eventually unwind itself, and that is such a pain because I've had that experience before where I'm working on a sketchbook but then suddenly my sketchbook just fails. The spiral comes out and then I have to either tear out the pages and paste them into another sketchbook, and then that's just a hassle. Personally, I prefer to have hardbound sketchbooks, but that's just me. Another clear difference between these two sketchbooks is size. Both hardbound and spiral-bound sketchbooks come in different sizes. A good way to experiment to find your ideal size of sketchbook is trying out different sizes of paper. Try drawing on different sizes so you can find out what size you're most comfortable with. Some people love drawing in large format paper, and actually they like drawing like those easel-like pads. And some people like really drawing really small and like those teeny notebooks, and it's up to you really. I mean, I personally like smaller notebooks. Another important factor to think about your sketchbook is the weight of the paper. Different sketchbooks come with different papers suitable for different mediums. There's sketchbooks for watercolor, for acrylic, for pen, for ink, for markers, and just regular for pencil. Personally, I stay away from paints because I am nowhere near proficient in watercolor or acrylic. When I've tried in the past, it's always been a mess. So I just stick with what I know best, what I can do best. Personally, I like to draw with pencil and marker, and a good brand that I recommend of sketchbooks is Rendr. I'll put the link in the description box below if you want to check it out. Rendr is a good brand because their paper is very special because it's a double-sided use. So you can actually draw with markers on one side and not worry about it bleeding through the pages, which is excellent because I have been searching for a while for a notebook that was like that because I've always had that problem. And my solution to it beforehand was that I would have to draw on marker paper and then cut it out and then paste it into a sketchbook. But the whole point of a sketchbook is to actually be able to draw in it and be able to render in it. So that's what I recommend. Now let's talk about the actual formatting of a sketchbook itself. I like to say there are 3 general guidelines. I had to look at my fingers to make sure I was holding up 3. I like to say there are 3 general guidelines. You have to think about the research that goes into your designs, your development, and editing the designs. Like I said before, there's no actual guideline to it, but this is a guideline that's actually very useful in a very organized way so that you can look back at your developments and you can see how your ideas have transformed along your design journey. Research is very important because without research, you have nothing to base your designs on. A good way to collect ideas for research is looking through images found in magazines and the internet. And if you have a camera, why not take pictures of the world around you? As a designer, it's a good idea to take pictures of anything that you find cool. Especially if you're a person who likes to go to museums, who likes to go outdoors, or who in general just tends to find really cool things and amused by different things around you. Images are very important for research, but also having a hands-on element to your sketchbook and having a tactile feel is even better. If you have any textile developments that you have fabric manipulations, and you can put that in your sketchbook, that's even better because not only are you designing 2D, but you're adding a 3D element. So that's the whole point of design. Also, a good thing to think about is also actually draping. Especially when it comes to fashion design. Fashion design is all about draping clothes, making clothes, highlighting the figure, and flattering the body. Well, not necessarily in that sense, but it's making clothes for the body. So you want to make sure that the silhouettes that you're drawing are realistic. You don't want to draw something that's, if it's made out of a certain fabric and you draw it really boxy and that fabric doesn't fall like that, let's say for example silk, it clings to the body and you're making a very boxy silhouette out of silk, it's not going to work, it's not realistic. The more you drape, the more you understand about fabric and the more you understand about silhouettes. If you take pictures of your draping progress along the way and put those into your sketchbook, that's great because you can actually go back once you print out those images and draw over. You know, think of different designs and it will help you. This past semester I realized that draping has really helped me with my design development because it was the first semester that I tried that. Beforehand I would only draw what came from my head, and the more I draped, the more I realized like, wow, this, I could do this, and if I try it this way maybe it'll work that way, and it's like a cool process. The more you work on it, the better you become, and it's actually really interesting. You might discover some things that you didn't think you were capable of. After you have all your fabric manipulations, your drapes, and images, the next step is developing your ideas on paper. It's time to sketch your figures and the clothing that you're going to create. A good guideline to create for like a reasonable collection is drawing a lot of sketches. Usually I like to draw at least 50 sketches for any collection that I'm going to draw, and it depends up to you. You can draw a little bit amount of sketches, a lot of sketches, but I feel like the more sketches you have, the more things you have written down in your sketchbook, and it's not necessarily easier for you to edit, but it's a good way to practice different design aesthetics, different ways of thinking about clothes. So the more you sketch, the more you have to work with. And that's leading up to my next section, which is editing your sketches. So now you're thinking about finally pulling all these ideas together and creating a cohesive collection that looks like it comes from the same designer. So editing is actually a very tricky part about designing because you have to make sure that everything flows. You might love one design in particular, but if it doesn't really flow with the rest of your research and development and the other sketches that you've drawn, there's really no point to it. So you have to make sure that what you're working with flows as one, that it looks like it comes from one designer, which is very important because you know, you want to create your own aesthetic, you want to create your own style of drawing, your own style of creating clothes, and you want to do something that will differentiate you from other people. So it's good to always have a lot of options to choose from so you can edit in a very nice way. Also, I wanted to add, if you're not really committed to the idea of committing yourself to one notebook, you can actually draw on different types of paper. Like if you want to draw on watercolor paper and then another design in ink, another design in marker with pencil, then feel free to do that. But you can actually think about like putting hole punching these papers and putting them in a binder or something, or creating, if you're really creative enough, making your own sort of book binding and putting it together into one cohesive format. This video helped you out a bit. I wish I had a video like this to look at. When I was first starting fashion design, my ideas were all over the place and I just didn't really know what to do. I would just draw something on one piece of paper and another piece of paper, have everything all over the place. But after doing it for a little bit, which is only 2 years, I'm still in school, but after doing it for only 2 years, I realized that a sketchbook is a way to go. You really need to put your ideas down together into one place. So it's very important to have your sketchbook in a very organized way, especially if you're thinking about presenting your sketchbook during an interview. A sketchbook is an interesting way to let your interviewer know how you think about your designs, how you go on about the design process. It's a good chance to show a creative side of yourself that you might not be able to show during your, normal presentations. So a sketchbook is a cool and interesting way to, add that extra spark to your interview. So if you keep a good organized sketchbook, not only does it help you for your career, but it helps you as an artist. You get to see how you develop throughout time, and you could look back at your work and you can always reference to different things, so it's always really cool to look at. I know that I've kept some of my older sketchbooks, and I'm really happy that I have, because I got to see how I used to draw then, what my aesthetic was, and how I've changed. It's always good to keep a record of these things. So that's all I have. Thanks for watching. If you like this type of video, please give us a big thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any questions, please comment below. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!